Hey guys, today I have with me a very special guest. It's Sara Pascoe.
Hello! This feels so much like when I used to pretend to make programmes when I was a child.
What do you mean pretend?
So before YouTube existed, I'd be in my kitchen like, hey guys, I'm going to cook you a cake.
Did you actually film it or you just pretended?
No, that's like, you just say it to the wall. And because we're in your bedroom, I feel like, oh yeah, hey guys,
Hey
I'm
guys.
going to make you a cake.
I remember me and my sister in the back of the car like pretending to present radio shows on long journeys.
Yeah, me and my sister Cheryl used to do it on my mum had a dictaphone for work where she would like record important meetings, and Cheryl and I would be these two DJs called DJ Big Willie and DJ Bigger Willie. We were like so obsessed, and all we'd ever say between the songs was, I've got a big willy, and next up Robbie Williams.
Sarah is a comedian.
I stand up with a microphone and I get to say whatever I like. So it's a good job.
What do you like saying?
What do I like saying? Well, it's interesting because I am a woman, a female person, and I hadn't really thought that much about it until I did comedy. But when you do comedy, it's not just that it's a very male environment. People kept saying to me like, oh, you talk a lot about women's issues. And I didn't understand because to me they were really universal things.
Yeah.
But because, and I've heard people talk really eloquently about this, about being non-white, that everyone else sees something you don't. So when you're talking about your subjective experience, although that's what everyone is talking about, yours is, the experience of a black man or the experience of a gay person. And mine was like, if I'm in the shops or I'm on the bus, it's like a woman in the shops, a woman on the bus. So I think I thought a lot more about gender.
I feel like if comedy was traditionally like very female dominated and then a male comedian comes along, people would be like, why are you talking about men's issues?
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to hear about you wanking, it's disgusting. Wet dreams, shut up.
Oh, erections.
Yeah, exactly.
No one wants to hear about that.
It's not even relevant to my life, mate.
With Sarah here, I thought that we would talk about this whole idea that now that we've had like feminism and the women's movement and all of that good stuff, women are sexually liberated.
I think a young woman's given loads of contradictory messages, which I think is the thing about being very attractive as kind of her currency and people wanting to sleep with her, but then being very choosy about who that is, and then apparently she's got to have multiple orgasms at the same time and be like really great at it. And if you don't, and if
you've got to be a sex goddess.
Yeah, and if you're not getting loads of pleasure, then you're letting yourself down because you're liberated now. How, as a young person now, and obviously. Because you're younger than me, I thought this is why it'd be interesting to talk to you about. So women like tend to be like in their early 30s or in their 40s and their 50s, they start talking about, now I get sexual pleasure. Now I know what my body likes. Now I know what I want.
I feel like I'm getting loads of messages of people being like, wait until you're in your 30s, that's your sexual
it's quite
prime.
patronising, isn't it, as well? Because obviously...
And I'm like, I think I'm having good sex now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Is there like, okay, no, that's shit sex. You don't even know what you're having.
Just you wait.
But the reason might be, I think some people have theories about it being physiological, but it might all about confidence, which confidence and sexual pleasure go so hand in hand. Like if you don't feel okay about your body, you can't really let yourself go. And I read something that was so interesting. Maybe you've read it. It was there's a book called Come As You Are by Emily Nagosi.
I just got it. Okay. I've not read it yet, but I have it.
You'll love it so much. But what's really great, she talks about how with young boys, no one tells them they're expected to enjoy their first sexual experiences because the ejaculation for a man is a kind of simple mechanism.
Yeah, and women are told like it might hurt a bit.
No, they're told it's going to hurt. Don't expect to enjoy it for ages. Yeah. Like, you're going to have to work at it. And you think, what? Because I think the actual thing is, how do you feel about it? And I think that's what's really tricky. I think that's the thing that happens with age, is what you get better at knowing is like, this is me turned on. This is me like, rather than like, I remember like being 16 or 17 using words like, I'm gagging for it. I didn't know what that was. I did not know what that was. So when I started to actually kind of, I guess, know my body more, and I do know the difference now between like, I'm moody because I'm horny. Like, I'm really grumpy about it. And the difference like, I never ever even felt this in my late teens because I wasn't looking to myself to go, when do I want something?
Yeah. And it's also like trying to figure out the difference between, this is what I've been toying with recently, is do I want to have sex with that person or do I just want to have sex?
Yeah, it's about hunger. Sometimes you just want to eat something. And and it's like, well, whatever.
What's in the cupboard?
Yeah, what's in the cupboard, what's there? And I think that's why sometimes people end up, that you can kind of not like someone, but if you've had quite good sex with them occasionally, it's sort of thing like, and I guess that's where the whole culture of booty calls and stuff comes from, where you're like,
just so easy.
Okay, the guy I like didn't turn up, or the woman I like didn't turn up, but they're here. Okay.
Traditionally, the narrative was like that women are more relationship hungry and men are more sex hungry. Yeah. And then now we've kind of flipped it and anyone can have any role.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends who are women and who are like, actually no, but I actually do want a relationship. Not because I'm sexually prude or repressed or anything, but that's just what I want.
Yeah, well, I think the underlying problem is that thing of like having sex like a man. So we're still seeing things in these like really broad stereotypes, and it is unfair to men as well. I know some men who waited till they were really old till they lost their virginity because they had to be so sure, because they had been given such messages about you really need to kind of love that person and probably forever. And so there's a lot. So there are pressures on boys as well, which we shouldn't ignore. Did you see this week that they released these statistics which show that social media have made teenage pregnancy halve in the last 10 years?
It's because people are spending more time online and less time having sex.
Yes, literally. So
Go social media!
Yes, from 2006, which is when Facebook became like worldwide, and obviously 2016, 10 years later, teenage pregnancy in this country has halved. I know. And I do also think that young women and young men are probably also more educated, more sensible. Hopefully sex education is getting better. On the internet, there is access to so many resources. People want to find out how to put on a condom, what is gonorrhea. Like, they can find those kind of things out. So I think if you're a parent, because what you don't want to do is make your child traumatised by awareness of sex too early.
Will they be traumatised though? We don't.
I think not if it's the science thing. I think like the sperm and the eggs and the babies growing inside women, all of that side thing is okay, but you also don't want them to be the person who's like too liberated at 10. Like, oh, okay, allow some innocence.
10-year-olds talking about blowjobs.
Yeah,
no.
Just go to pole dancing classes. He's really good at burning calories.
Oh, here's a thing. Back to like the sexual liberation, because you said pole dancing.
Yeah.
Can't remember who said it, but I just saw this quote online somewhere that said, you know, the patriarchy is won when women do pole dancing for exercise, like to lose weight.
Yes, so the, I guess, third wave feminism, the beginning of it was, we're really liberated now, so take your clothes off and dance for us.
How do you feel about pole dancing exercise classes where it's like only women?
I honestly, like, I think, I try so much. It's like, I can completely understand why someone would go, and it would be fun. Yeah. And that it would be great exercise, and obviously pole dancers are so strong and muscly, and I don't think like, oh, that's bad, you should only be going to exercise classes in sacks. And I went to Zumba classes, and I was really amazed because Zumba classes are mostly female, even though boys aren't told they can't come, they're often just women, and so it felt like being in an ovary, and that anything was possible, and the teacher, all of the moves, she kept making it like very anti-men, and I was like, oh, if a man was here, I'd feel so uncomfortable, because we were like slapping him around the face because he'd come home drunk, and we were like grinding into guys who weren't our husband at the festival, but I loved it because it was this really it was really cheeky. Yeah, really cheeky, where if
that's really weird. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
It was just all of these middle-aged ladies having a really fun, sexy time, because there was an absence of men, and because it was an unseen environment. It does stop as you get older. The gropey men, not that it all stops altogether, but the really gropey men, the predatory ones, they go for young girls.
Yeah, my mum and I were having a conversation about that, because we were walking down the street and then someone like honked or cackled, and my mum was like, oh, that was probably for you. Yeah. And I was like, that's not a good thing.
No.
And then
we didn't be like, oh, was it? Thank you. Yeah. I hope he comes back fast.
Then me and my mum were talking about it, and she was saying that when she was younger, she would get catcalled all the time and hated it, like was really like angry about it. And then she kind of like got a bit older, and then what happened is that she's now invisible. Yeah. Like as a middle-aged woman, she's like, hello, am I not beautiful to society anymore? Yeah. Like,
so the people are writing books about that now. It's really fascinating, and there is something that happens at the end of fertility. They're not invisible to us, but suddenly they'd go like, I just don't get served at the bar anymore. Like no one can see me, or in shops, or people just walk into you like you're not there. Yeah. Yeah. And also the role of a grandmother is really interesting, because they're such nurturers. So like in studies, it's proved that having a grandmother means a child is more likely to survive childhood than having a father around. Because and so very few species have a menopause, and the reason that humans have one is so that the grandparents will give all of their resources to grandchildren in order to help.
So they can't have more of their own children.
So they're not concentrating on their own children. So it's all like that whole thing is really fascinating. But it also means that invisibility comes from like, because everything is for other people now, and grandmas are like that kind of. They're always giving.
It's like, it's not about me anymore.
Yes,
it's about
the
next
future. Generation. At the WOW Festival, there was a woman called Patricia Scott, and she's the first Secretary of State for the Commonwealth. And she was just in this green room talking. She was just the most fascinating woman we've ever heard. And she was saying that what this government, the Tory government, doesn't understand when they're cutting all of the things that affect women and children, is that when a government gives money to women, so there's more through wages or through benefits, there's more money in the woman's pocket. Women spend it on everyone rather than themselves. It goes to their children, it goes to their husband. The money is really well shared out. When the money's in the man's pocket, it stays in the man's pocket. because women, I mean,
That's
we're
so interesting.
We're talking really broad strokes here.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
there are individuals within it. Selfish women and lovely, lovely, great.
Yeah, but that's the general
nurturing
trend.
men. Yes, which is why the whole thing, like when people, it's not about being anti-men. It's about this is how you support everyone. You support women. You support everyone.
So true. I think we should leave it there.
Cool.
That's a great place to end it. Thank you so much for
you
being
so
on my
much.
channel. Let's quickly plug Sarah's book, Animal, the Autobiography of Female Body. I'm very excited to read this. Do you want to give us a little, 2 lines about it?
It's got some of my secrets in there.
Ooh.
And lots of research, and there's a picture of a vagina I drew. Can I show it on your channel?
Yeah.
That's the clitoris.
Yeah, seen that before.
Yeah, my boyfriend came in as I was scanning it into the computer, and he's like, what are you doing?
The vulva. So it's like the history of the female body and culture and literature and everything. Yeah, that sounds right up my street. Thank you guys for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let us know all of your thoughts about everything that we've talked about in the comments. You can find Sarah on Twitter. Thanks for watching. Bye.